The thing about secrets is they grow heavier the longer you carry them. I learned that when I was 14 and tried on my mother's dress for the first time. The silk felt cool against my skin and something inside me went quiet in a way I had never felt before. That quietness scared me more than anything. I told myself it was just curiosity. I told myself a lot of things over the years. My name is Brady Richardson and I work at Mitchell Financial Services in Seattle. I process loan applications and answer emails and sit in meetings where people talk about quarterly projections. Everyone there knows me as the guy who brings his lunch in a brown paper bag and never joins the happy hour crowds on Friday nights. They think I am boring. They think I have no life outside of work. They are wrong about the second part. The wedding invitation came on a Wednesday afternoon. Trevor Walsh from the marketing department was getting married to his girlfriend of 5 years. The envelope was cream-colored and expensive-looking. Inside was a card with gold lettering that said I could bring a guest. +1. Those 2 words felt like a challenge. "Hey Brady," Susan from HR said as she walked past my desk. "You going to Trevor's wedding?" I looked up from my computer screen. Susan was nice enough, but she always asked too many questions. "I think so. You should bring someone. It will be fun. Open bar and everything." I smiled the way I always smiled when people talked about my non-existent dating life. "Maybe." Susan walked away and I stared at the invitation. The wedding was in 8 weeks. Black tie event at the Emerald Garden downtown. All my coworkers would be there with their partners. I would show up alone like always and people would whisper about poor Brady, who never seems to meet anyone. The truth was more complicated than they could imagine. The truth was that every night after work I went home to my small apartment on Capitol Hill and I became someone else. I became Lily. Lily with the long brown wig that cost me $300. Lily who wore dresses that made me feel like I was floating. Lily who looked back at me from the bathroom mirror with eyes that seemed more alive than Brady's ever did. I had been doing this for 6 years now. Ever since I moved to Seattle after college and finally had my own place where no one could walk in on me. My apartment was small, but it was mine. 1 bedroom with hardwood floors and a closet that held 2 different lives. On the left side were Brady's clothes. Button-down shirts and khaki pants and ties in boring colors. On the right side were Lily's things. Dresses in every color. Skirts that swished when I moved. Blouses made of fabric so soft it felt like wearing air. I kept the really special things in boxes under my bed. The lingerie. The stockings. The heels that made me 3 inches taller. Sometimes I would take everything out and lay it on my bed just to look at it. Just to remember that this part of me existed even when I was pretending to be normal Brady at work. That night after work I rode the bus home like always. I stopped at the corner store and bought milk and bread and a frozen dinner. The man behind the counter barely looked at me. I was invisible as Brady. Forgettable. I liked it that way. Being invisible meant being safe. When I got home I locked the door behind me and let out a breath I had been holding all day. The apartment was quiet. Outside my window I could hear traffic and the distant sound of someone playing music too loud. I put away my groceries and heated up my dinner in the microwave. While it cooked I went to my bedroom and opened the closet. The blue dress was hanging where I left it. It was my favorite. Dark blue with a fitted waist and a skirt that fell just above my knees. I had bought it 6 months ago from a boutique downtown. The woman working there had been kind. She asked if I was shopping for someone special, and I said yes. I did not tell her that someone was me. I took off Brady's work clothes and folded them carefully. Then I stood in front of the mirror in just my boxers and looked at myself. My body was thin. Not muscular, but not soft either. Just ordinary. I had thought about hormones before. About making my body match the way I felt inside. But something always stopped me. Fear maybe. Or the knowledge that once I started down that road, there would be no going back to being invisible. I put on the panties first. Black lace that I had ordered online. Then the bra with the silicone inserts that gave me curves. Then the dress. I zipped it up slowly and felt that same quietness from when I was 14. Like the whole world had gone soft around the edges. The wig came next. I adjusted it carefully and tucked my real hair underneath. Then makeup. I had watched hundreds of tutorials on YouTube learning how to do this. Foundation and concealer and powder. Eyeshadow in shades of brown and gold. Mascara that made my lashes look longer. Lipstick in a color called rose wine. When I was done, I looked in the mirror and Lily looked back. "Hello," I said softly to my reflection. My voice sounded different when I was dressed like this. I ate my dinner as Lily. I sat on my couch and watched TV as Lily. I painted my toenails a soft pink color and let them dry while I read a book. This was my life. These quiet evenings alone where I could finally be myself. No one knew. Not my coworkers. Not my family back in Portland. Not anyone. My phone buzzed with a text message. It was from my sister Kate. "Mom wants to know if you're coming home for Thanksgiving." I stared at the message for a long time. Thanksgiving was 3 months away. The wedding was before that. I typed back slowly. "Not sure yet. Work is busy." Kate responded right away. "You always say that. She misses you." I did not respond. I put my phone face down on the coffee table and tried not to think about my mother. About how disappointed she would be if she knew. About how my father would not even look at me. About how Kate would probably cry and ask me why I had to be like this. The wedding invitation was still sitting on my kitchen counter where I had left it. +1. I thought about what it would be like to bring someone. To walk in with a date on my arm like everyone else. But who would I bring? I did not date. I did not know how to explain to someone what I was. I had tried once in college. A girl named Emma who seemed open-minded. I told her about wearing women's clothes and she smiled politely and said she had to go. I never heard from her again. That was 10 years ago and I had not tried since. It was easier to be alone. Safer. The next few weeks passed slowly. Work was the same as always. Meetings and emails and the constant hum of fluorescent lights overhead. People talked about Trevor's wedding constantly. Who was bringing who? What they were going to wear. Whether the food would be any good. I heard they are having a live band, Derek from accounting said during lunch one day. He was sitting across from me in the break room eating a sandwich. "My girlfriend is so excited. She already bought a new dress." "That sounds nice," I said because it was what I was supposed to say. "What about you, Brady? You bringing anyone?" I shook my head. "Just going solo." Derek made a sympathetic face. "That is tough, man. Maybe you will meet someone at the wedding. You never know." I smiled and changed the subject. Derek meant well, but he did not understand. No one did. That weekend I did something I had never done before. I went out as Lily. Not far. Just to the grocery store at midnight when I knew it would be almost empty. I put on jeans and a simple sweater and my wig and just enough makeup to look natural. My hands shook as I walked to the store 3 blocks away. Every person I passed on the street felt like a threat. Every car that drove by made my heart race. But no one looked at me twice. I was just another woman buying milk and eggs at midnight. The cashier was a tired-looking kid who barely glanced up from his phone. I paid in cash and walked home feeling like I had just climbed a mountain. When I got back to my apartment, I sat on the floor of my living room and cried. I did not know why I was crying. Relief, maybe. Or sadness that this small taste of freedom was all I would ever have. The wedding was 5 weeks away when I met Joshua Gray. I was at a coffee shop near my office during lunch. The place was crowded and I was standing in line behind a tall man with dark hair. He was wearing a gray suit that looked expensive and he was on his phone talking about some meeting. When he got to the counter, he ordered a complicated drink that made the barista sigh. I ordered a plain coffee and moved to the side to wait. The man in the gray suit was still there waiting for his drink. He looked at me and smiled. "Sorry about that," he said. "I know I am one of those annoying customers." "It is okay," I said quietly. "I am Joshua." He held out his hand. I shook it. His grip was firm. "Brady. Nice to meet you, Brady. You work around here?" "Yeah. Mitchell Financial Services." "No kidding. I work at Harrison Tech 2 blocks over." Small world. We got our drinks at the same time. Joshua smiled at me again. Well, maybe I will see you around, Brady. Maybe, I said. I watched him walk out of the coffee shop and felt something strange in my chest. Something I had not felt in a long time. Interest, maybe. Or possibility. I saw Joshua again 3 days later at the same coffee shop. This time he waved when he saw me in line. Brady, we have to stop meeting like this. I laughed. Actually laughed. I guess we have the same lunch schedule. Looks like it. Hey, do you want to sit together? I hate eating lunch alone. We sat at a small table by the window. Joshua talked about his job in software development. About how he had moved to Seattle 2 years ago from San Francisco. About how he loved the city even though the rain got to him sometimes. I mostly listened. I was not good at small talk, but Joshua did not seem to mind. What about you? He asked. What brings you to Seattle? Work mostly. I moved here after college. Needed a change. I get that. Sometimes you just need to start over somewhere new. We finished our lunch and Joshua said we should do this again. I agreed even though part of me wanted to run away. Part of me knew that getting close to anyone was dangerous. But another part of me wanted to see him again. Over the next 2 weeks, Joshua and I had lunch together 4 more times. He was easy to talk to. Funny. Smart. He told me about his last relationship that had ended badly. About how his ex-girlfriend had cheated on him with his best friend. About how it made him not trust people for a while. But you seem different, Brady, he said during our 5th lunch together. You seem genuine. I felt guilt twist in my stomach. Genuine. If only he knew. The wedding was 3 weeks away when Joshua invited me to dinner. Not lunch at a coffee shop, he said. Like an actual dinner. If you want. I should have said no. I should have made up an excuse. But instead I heard myself say yes. We went to an Italian restaurant downtown on a Friday night. Joshua wore jeans and a nice shirt. I wore the same khaki pants and button-down I always wore. I felt like I was playing dress-up in someone else's life. Dinner was good. The food was good. The conversation was good. Joshua told me about his family in California. About his younger brother who was in medical school. About his parents who had been married for 35 years. It all sounded so normal. So perfect. What about your family? Joshua asked. There is not much to tell. My parents are in Portland. I have a sister named Kate. Are you close? I thought about the last time I had seen my parents. 2 years ago at Christmas. How stiff and uncomfortable everything had felt. How I had left early because I could not stand pretending anymore. Not really. Joshua reached across the table and touched my hand. Just for a second. I am sorry. That must be hard. His touch made my skin feel warm. I pulled my hand back gently. It is okay. I am used to it. After dinner, Joshua walked me to my bus stop, even though it was out of his way. We stood there together in the cool night air, and I felt like I was standing on the edge of something. Something that could be wonderful or terrible. I had a really good time tonight, Brady, Joshua said. Me too. Can I see you again? Maybe this weekend. I nodded. I could not stop myself from nodding. Yeah. I would like that. Joshua smiled, and for a moment I thought he might kiss me. Instead, he squeezed my shoulder and said goodnight. I watched him walk away and wondered what I was doing. Wondered if I was making the biggest mistake of my life. That night I went home and stood in front of my closet for a long time. Brady's clothes on one side. Lily's on the other. 2 different people who could never exist in the same space. I thought about Joshua. About his smile and his laugh and the way he had touched my hand at dinner. And I thought about the secret I was keeping. The secret that would make him run if he ever found out. I put on my blue dress and sat on the edge of my bed and wished I could be someone else. Someone normal. Someone who did not have to hide. Joshua and I saw each other twice that weekend. On Saturday, we went to a bookstore and walked through the aisles talking about our favorite authors. On Sunday, we got coffee again and then walked through Pike Place Market. It felt natural being with him. Easy in a way that scared me because I knew it could not last. I really like spending time with you, Brady, Joshua said as we stood looking out at the water. The sun was setting and the sky was turning pink and orange. I know we have only known each other a few weeks, but I feel like I can be myself around you. I felt my throat tighten. I like spending time with you too. Can I ask you something? Joshua turned to look at me. His eyes were brown and warm. Are you seeing anyone else? Because I would really like to take this somewhere. If you want that too. This was the moment. The moment where I should tell him the truth. Where I should explain that I was not who he thought I was. That half my life was spent as someone else. Someone he had never met and probably could never accept. I am not seeing anyone else, I said. It was not a lie exactly. And yeah, I would like that too. Joshua smiled, and this time he did kiss me. Soft and gentle right there by the water with people walking past us. His lips were warm and tasted like the coffee we had been drinking. When he pulled back, I felt dizzy. I have been wanting to do that for a while, he said. We held hands walking back to the bus stop. I could not remember the last time I had held someone's hand. It made me feel connected to the world in a way I had forgotten was possible. But underneath the happiness was a growing dread. Because the longer this went on, the harder it would be when it ended. And it would end. It had to. The wedding was 2 weeks away. Trevor stopped by my desk on a Monday morning with a clipboard. Final head count, he said. You coming solo or bringing someone? I hesitated. Solo. You sure? You can still add a +1 if you want. For a second, I imagined walking into that wedding with Joshua, introducing him as my boyfriend, dancing with him in front of all my coworkers. But then I imagined them asking questions, wanting to know more about us, wanting to meet up as couples. And everything would unravel. I am sure, I said. That Wednesday, Joshua invited me to his apartment for dinner. He lived in a nice building in Belltown with a view of the Space Needle. His place was bigger than mine and cleaner. Everything looked like it came from a catalog. Modern furniture and abstract art on the walls. I am not much of a cook, Joshua said as he handed me a glass of wine. But I make a decent pasta. We ate dinner at his small dining table and talked about everything. Work and movies and places we wanted to travel. Joshua told me about a trip he took to Italy 5 years ago. How he had gotten lost in Venice and ended up having the best meal of his life at a tiny restaurant he found by accident. I want to go back someday, he said. Maybe with someone special. He was looking at me when he said it. I took a long drink of wine and tried to ignore the way my heart was beating too fast. After dinner, we moved to the couch. Joshua put on music. Something soft and jazzy. We sat close together, and I could feel the warmth of his body next to mine. He put his hand on my knee, and I did not move it away. Brady, he said quietly, can I tell you something? Yeah. I really like you. Like more than I have liked anyone in a long time. And I know we are taking things slow, and that is fine. But I just wanted you to know that. I looked at him, at his kind eyes and his nervous smile, and I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to explain about Lily and the dresses and the life I had been living in secret for so many years. But the words would not come. Instead, I leaned forward and kissed him. This kiss was different from the first one. Deeper. More urgent. Joshua pulled me closer and I let him. His hands moved to my back and then to my hair. We stayed like that for a long time, kissing on his couch while the music played softly in the background. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. Do you want to stay? Joshua asked. I mean, you do not have to. No pressure. But I would like it if you stayed. I should have said no. I should have made up an excuse and left. But I was tired of saying no. Tired of hiding. So I said yes. We moved to his bedroom. Joshua turned on a small lamp that gave off warm yellow light. We kissed again and slowly started taking off each other's clothes. We made love slowly, carefully, like we were learning each other's bodies for the first time. Joshua held me close and whispered my name, and I felt tears in my eyes because it was everything I had wanted and everything I knew I could not keep. Afterwards, we lay in his bed with the sheets tangled around us. Joshua traced patterns on my shoulder with his finger. That was amazing, he said. You are amazing. I did not say anything. I just closed my eyes and tried to memorize this moment. The feeling of his skin against mine. The sound of his breathing. The way the lamplight made shadows on the ceiling. I stayed the night. In the morning, Joshua made coffee and toast, and we sat in his kitchen talking like we had been doing this for years. Like this was normal. Like I was not living a lie. I have a work thing this weekend, Joshua said. But maybe next weekend we could do something. There is a new exhibit at the art museum I want to check out. Yeah, that sounds good. I left his apartment feeling like I was floating and drowning at the same time. I went home and stood in my shower for a long time, letting the hot water run over me. When I got out, I looked at myself in the mirror. Brady looked back. Plain, ordinary Brady, who had just spent the night with a man who thought he knew him. I called in sick to work that day. I could not face going to the office. Could not face pretending everything was normal. Instead, I stayed in my apartment and put on Lily's clothes. I wore a simple black skirt and a white blouse. I did my makeup carefully. When I looked in the mirror, Lily looked sad. "What are you doing?" I asked my reflection. "What are you going to do when he finds out?" Lily did not answer. She just looked back at me with my own eyes. The wedding was 1 week away. Joshua and I saw each other twice more. Once for lunch and once for another dinner at his place. Each time felt like I was digging myself deeper into a hole I could not climb out of. Each time I wanted to tell him the truth, and each time I chickened out. On Thursday night, Joshua called me. "Hey, I have a weird question," he said. "My friend Carter is having this thing on Saturday night. Just a small party at his place. I know it is short notice, but would you want to come with me? I would love for you to meet my friends." Meeting his friends. That was a step. A big step. "I do not know," I said. "I am not great at parties. It will be low-key. Just like 10 people. And I will be there the whole time. Please? It would mean a lot to me." I could not say no to him. I never could. "Okay. Yeah. I will come." "Great. I will pick you up at 7. Saturday came too fast. I spent the whole day anxious. Pacing around my apartment. Trying on different outfits as Brady and hating all of them. Finally, I settled on dark jeans and a button-down shirt. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the person looking back. Joshua picked me up right at 7. He was wearing jeans and a sweater, and he looked happy to see me. "You ready?" he asked. As ready as I will ever be. Carter's apartment was in Capitol Hill, not far from my place. When we walked in, there were already people there. Music playing. People talking and laughing. Joshua introduced me to everyone. Carter and his girlfriend Mary. Dylan and Susan. A woman named Evelyn who worked with Joshua. They were all friendly. Normal. They asked me questions about my job and where I was from, and I answered like I was reading from a script. "So how did you two meet?" Mary asked. She was holding a glass of wine and smiling at both of us. "Coffee shop," Joshua said. He put his arm around my waist. I saw this guy and just knew I had to talk to him. Everyone made approving sounds. They looked at us like we were a couple. Like we belonged together. I felt sick. I excused myself to go to the bathroom. I locked the door behind me and sat on the edge of the tub with my head in my hands. What was I doing? These people thought I was someone I was not. Joshua thought I was someone I was not. And the longer I kept up this pretense, the worse it would be when everything fell apart. There was a knock on the door. "Brady? You okay in there?" It was Joshua. I opened the door. Joshua looked concerned. "You look pale. Do you want to leave?" "No, I am fine. Just needed a minute." We went back out to the party. I tried to act normal. Tried to laugh at jokes and contribute to conversations. But I felt like I was watching myself from outside my body. Like I was not really there. Joshua drove me home around 11. We sat in his car outside my building and he took my hand. "You were quiet tonight. Are you okay? Did something happen?" "I am fine. Just tired." "Brady." He turned to look at me. "If something is wrong, you can tell me. I want you to feel like you can talk to me about anything." This was my chance. The moment where I could finally be honest. I opened my mouth to speak and then closed it again. "I am fine," I said. Joshua did not look convinced, but he did not push. He kissed me goodnight and I got out of the car and went up to my apartment alone. The wedding was in 3 days. I had picked up my suit from the dry cleaners. I had bought a card and put money in it. I had done everything I was supposed to do. But I felt like I was walking towards something terrible. On Monday, Joshua texted me during work. Dinner tomorrow night? My place. I stared at the text for a long time before responding. Can we talk? In person. Of course. Is everything okay? Yeah. I just need to tell you something. We met that evening at a park near his apartment. The sun was setting and there were joggers and people walking dogs. We sat on a bench and I tried to find the words I had been rehearsing in my head all day. Joshua, I need to tell you something and I need you to just listen until I am done. He looked worried. I took a deep breath. I have not been honest with you. Not completely. There is something about me that you do not know. Something I have been hiding my whole life. Brady, you are scaring me. What is it? I cross-dress. The words came out in a rush. I wear women's clothes. I have for years. I have this whole other life where I dress as a woman and it is the only time I feel like myself. Her name is Lily. And I should have told you before we got involved, but I was scared. And now I am telling you because I care about you too much to keep lying. Joshua stared at me. His face was unreadable. The silence stretched out between us like a canyon. Say something, I said quietly. Please. I do not know what to say. Joshua's voice was tight. This is a lot, Brady. I know. I am sorry. I should have told you sooner. Yeah. You should have. He stood up from the bench. I need some time to think about this. Joshua, please. I am not saying no. I am just saying I need time. This is not what I thought I was getting into. He walked away and I sat there on the bench watching him go. I felt numb. Empty. Like someone had reached inside me and taken out everything that mattered. I went home and did not take off my clothes. I just lay on my bed staring at the ceiling. My phone stayed silent. No calls. No texts. Nothing. The wedding was the next day. I called in sick to work. I could not face Trevor or anyone else. Could not pretend to be happy. Instead, I stayed in my apartment and waited for Joshua to call. He did not call that day. Or the next day. By Friday, I had given up hope. The wedding was happening that evening and I was not going. I could not. I sent Trevor a text saying I had come down with food poisoning and could not make it. He sent back a sad face emoji. I spent Friday evening as Lily. I put on my blue dress and did my makeup and sat on my couch drinking wine straight from the bottle. I thought about Joshua. About his friends and his nice apartment and the way he had kissed me. About how I had ruined everything by telling the truth. My phone rang at 9:30. It was Joshua. I stared at his name on the screen for a long time before answering. Hello. Brady. Can I come over? Now. Yeah. I have been thinking about what you said. And I need to see you. I gave him my address. 20 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. I had taken off my makeup, but I was still wearing the dress. I thought about changing, but then decided I was done hiding. I opened the door. Joshua stood there in jeans and a jacket. His eyes widened when he saw me. This is Lily, I said quietly. This is who I am. Joshua stepped inside and closed the door behind him. He looked at me for a long time. Really looked at me. I waited for him to say something cruel. To tell me I was sick or wrong or disgusting. Instead he said, "You look beautiful." I felt tears start to fall. Do not say that if you do not mean it. I mean it. Joshua moved closer. I have been thinking about this for 3 days straight, Brady. Or Lily. Or whoever you are. And at first I was angry. Angry that you did not tell me. Angry that I felt lied to. But then I realized something. You told me because you trusted me. Because you wanted to be honest even though you were scared. I am sorry, I whispered. I should have told you sooner. Yeah. You should have. But I get why you did not. He reached out and wiped a tear from my cheek. Can I ask you something? Are you happy? When you are like this? I nodded. This is the only time I feel real. Then that is all that matters. Joshua took my hand. I am not going to pretend this is easy for me. I do not fully understand it. But I care about you. Both versions of you. And I want to try to make this work. If you want that too. I do, Joshua. More than anything. We sat on my couch and talked for hours. I told him everything. About being 14 and trying on my mother's dress. About moving to Seattle to escape. About all the years of hiding and shame and fear. Joshua listened to all of it without judgment. He asked questions. He held my hand. He did not run away. What does this mean for us? I asked as it got close to midnight. I am still going to be Lily. This is not going away. I know. And I am not asking you to change. We will figure it out together. One day at a time. It was not a perfect ending. There was still so much uncertainty. Still so many questions about what our future would look like. Joshua's friends did not know yet. My coworkers did not know. My family did not know. There would be hard conversations ahead. Difficult choices. Maybe heartbreak. But sitting there on my couch with Joshua's hand in mine and my dress still on, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Hope. Not the foolish hope that everything would be easy, but the real kind of hope that comes from being seen, from being known, from finding someone willing to try. Thank you, I said quietly, for not running. Thank you for telling me, Joshua said, for trusting me with this. We fell asleep on my couch that night. When I woke up in the early morning light, Joshua was still there, still holding me. And for the first time in my life, I thought maybe I did not have to choose between Brady and Lily. Maybe I could find a way to be both. Maybe that was enough. The wedding had happened without me. Trevor would probably be annoyed that I missed it. Work on Monday would be awkward. There were still so many things to figure out. So many obstacles ahead. But in that moment, with the morning sun coming through my windows and Joshua breathing softly beside me, I let myself believe that maybe everything would be okay. Not perfect. Not easy. But okay. And sometimes okay is all you need. If you enjoyed this story, you can find more like it in my Femboy and Crossdressing Stories bundle. 5 complete stories available now on Amazon for just $4.99. Until next time, keep exploring, feeling, and becoming who you are.